Just because you're a scratch golfer doesn't mean you belong on tour. Yes, scratch golfers are really good and represent a very small percentage of the golfing community, but they're still a world away from matching the talents we see on TV week in and week out. The differences are both subtle and staggering, covering everything from skill to pressure management to daily commitment to equipment support to mental toughness. Let's explore just how far the gap is and why. Let's start with the basics. A scratch golfer is someone who, according to their official golf handicap, is capable of playing at par on any given course, not just their friendly home course, but official rated courses anywhere. This means that if the course is rated at a par 72, you're a scratch golfer, you should shoot somewhere around 72 on a typical day. A touring pro, on the other hand, is competing for their livelihood on the world's toughest courses against the best players under incredible pressure. They're not just playing at par, they're regularly shooting several strokes under, from longer tees with pin positions and course setups designed to punish anything less than perfect. Think of it like this. If a scratch golfer is graduating with honors, being a tour pro is earning a PhD from an Ivy League school, and then having to defend your thesis in public with the world watching every single week. It's easy to assume that because they play at par, scratch golfers are almost as good as pros, but this isn't quite true. Let's look at some of the numbers. On a standard course, a scratch golfer must shoot around 70 to 75 on a good day, and might break par on their home course occasionally. Can they shoot in the 60s? Probably, but not regularly, and certainly not under the hardest conditions or tournament setups. Touring pros, especially on the PGA Tour, are a different breed. The average PGA Tour player has a scoring average for the season hovering around 70, but that's on longer, tougher courses with lightning fast greens, heavy rough, and perilous pin positions. And the very best, they can take it even deeper with season averages in the high 60s. Pros routinely shoot 64s and 65s, scores that a scratch golfer might only dream of and perhaps only shoot once or twice in a lifetime, even from the amateur tees. Another core difference is distance, how far a player hits each club, and ball striking consistency. Scratch golfers often hit a driver anywhere from 260 to 315 yards, sometimes longer, and they're generally solid with irons. Touring pros, most are now averaging north of 300 yards off the tee. Some approach 330 or 340 yards, all while keeping the ball in tight windows. There's a difference in both natural athleticism and technique refinement. Pros know how to swing efficiently, deliver maximum club head speed, and optimize launch conditions in ways that most scratch golfers never quite master. But it's not just about length. Pros are laser precise with their irons and wedges. Hitting greens in regulation is important for a scratch golfer, but for a touring pro, the real goal is hitting to precise zones, giving themselves the best angle and putt. The consistency with which they strike shots, control spin, trajectories, and distances is truly astounding. If a scratch golfer hits the fairway 6 out of 10 times, a touring pro does it 8 or 9 out of 10, and with tighter dispersion. The short game is where the gap becomes a canyon. Scratch golfers are better than most. Their chipping and pitching generally get them on the green within a reasonable distance of the flag, and they'll convert plenty of ups and downs. Their putting is typically solid, reliable under normal circumstances. But PGA and LPGA Tour pros, it's a whole new world. Pros have an arsenal of short game shots, pitches, flop shots, low spinners, bump and runs, and they can deploy these under any condition on any surface with varying grass and sand types. Their touch around the greens, the creativity and the precision are inhuman. What's more, their putting is so refined that the typical pro can read subtle breaks, visualize speed, and manage nerves so well that even when off, they rarely three-putt. Many scratch golfers under pressure might miss short ones or three-putt a few times per round. Pros know those one-putts and tap-ins are their lifeline. Still, the differences are not just physical, they're deeply mental. Scratch golfers tend to play smart, picking targets, minimizing risks, and staying calm on good days. They might have a routine, a pre-shot checklist built in over years of competitive and recreational golf. But tour pros have honed this to an art. Their routines are non-negotiable. Breathing, visualization, precise practice swings. Their preparation is obsessive, with detailed yardage books, notes about wind, slopes, past pin placements, and grain direction on the greens. Most importantly, pros deal with intense pressure, playing for their careers on national TV with crowds and leaders breathing down their necks. It's not just about making a par putt, it's about staying calm when that putt is for your tour card card or a six-figure check. Touring pros manage nerves, bounce back from setbacks immediately, and maintain focus across 72 grueling holes. Scratch golfers, for all their composure, usually don't face these kind of stakes. Coaching and support is another dividing line. Most scratch golfers are self-taught or take the occasional lesson. They may practice 3 to 5 times a week, sometimes less, due to time constraints, family, and career commitments, understandably. By contrast, touring professionals are surrounded by teams: swing coaches, short game specialists, putting coaches, physical trainers, mental coaches, nutritionists, and even club fitters available 24/7. They train rigorously, hours and hours every single day, often dividing practice between technique, short game, fitness, and playing with intent. Training is data-driven: launch monitors, high-speed cameras, analytics tools. Every tweak is measured, every improvement logged. What's more, they travel with psychologists or performance coaches to keep their heads in the game mile after mile, round after round. To maintain this kind of schedule, you have to be in shape. Golf's reputation used to be that of a gentleman's walk in the park. Not anymore. While scratch golfers run the gamut physically, most have their regular jobs and try to stay fit within their schedules. They might work out a few times a week, but usually golf is their main athletic outlet. Touring pros now treat themselves like elite athletes. Modern players, men and women, spend hours in the gym strengthening, conditioning, improving mobility and endurance. Cardio, weight training, yoga, and mobility are all staples. The aim is not just to avoid injury, but to generate power, maintain stamina through grueling travel, and peak for the 4-day marathon of a tournament. There are exceptions, but today's pro compared to yesterday's is simply more athletic. Perhaps the least visible but most real difference is the emotional and financial stakes. For a scratch golfer, the outcome of a tournament may mean bragging rights, pride, or a trophy, but rarely more. If they blow a shot, life goes on. For a touring pro, every stroke can be the difference between keeping a tour card, making a cut, and getting paid, or simply fading into obscurity. The financial pressures are gigantic, especially for those outside the top 125, or those trying to get a spot on the PGA in general. Sponsorships, endorsements, travel expenses all ride on the performance, week after week after week after week. What separates the professional from scratch golfer is not just their best rounds, but their worst. A pro might play poorly and still scrape together a 1/73 on a brutal course setup, salvaging momentum with scrambling, smart course management, and gutsy putts. Their range of scores is much tighter. Where a scratch golfer can swing 10 strokes between best and worst, a pro might only swing 3 or 4. That level of consistency is the product of years of training, mental calibration, and muscle memory. It's tempting to think, hey, a scratch golfer, already so close, why not just go pro? Only a handful of scratch golfers ever even try. First, they have to dominate amateur events. Then they must succeed in top-tier amateur or collegiate golf, often playing national or international events. From there, the would-be pro must qualify for smaller professional tours, the Korn Ferry Tour in the US, Challenge Tour in Europe, or Sunshine, Asian, or other circuits worldwide. Each stage separates those who merely play well from those who can suffocate a golf course under enormous pressure. And even here, only a fraction of pros ever reach the PGA or LPGA Tour, let alone stay there. To sum up, both scratch golfers and touring pros embody excellence in golf. The difference is scale and refinement. For touring pros, golf is a relentless. For scratch players, golf is a passion, a game they've mastered within the boundaries of amateur competition and casual play. For touring pros, golf is a relentless, year-round pursuit demanding peak skill, unwavering nerve, total commitment, and enormous sacrifice. If you're a scratch golfer, you're among the very best out there. But the chasm between elite amateur and professional isn't just about a few strokes. You're looking at a different world altogether, one that only the most gifted and dedicated are lucky and talented enough to call home. And perhaps that's the real magic of golf. There's always another level to aspire to, always something new to learn, and always a deepening respect for just how staggeringly good the very best really are at this game. Thanks for watching. I'm Clint McCormick, resident golf professional here at golfspan.com.